Fighting games can be very difficult. They present various challenges and ways to you to be a tactician and think across your opponent of your options and their options. Of course, to the casual observer, you don't see this, but beating the shit out of your enemy. So today, I'll be teaching you guys how to think like a pro, roll with the punches, and defeat your enemies tactically.
One of the first things to getting really good at fighting games is picking your controller. Now, as stupid as this sounds, in order to be good, you must. It's like being a baseball batter. You have to select your bat, or a basketballer. Or a basketball player. You must select which ball you're comfortable with. Like fighting games, every fighting game has a different optimal controller, but it's always good to accept the controller that is legal, but also to your needs. Just because you see everyone winning with a fight stick doesn't mean that the most optimal way to win with a fight stick. Smug plays with a pad, and I myself, and I know some Street Fighter players, play with the keyboard. And there are a lot who plays with other stuff, but never be discouraged and always pick the thing that's the most comfortable for you and you can execute buttons easily. The second thing that should be talked about is understanding your game. Now in the game scene, there are a whole bunch of shooting games and a whole bunch of games in other scenes, but specifically in fighting games, we have a whole bunch of different fighters. We have Smash Brothers, we have 2D fighters, 3D fighters, and a whole lot of other fighters. There are many other fighters. Things that can classify your game as a fighting game with competitive elements and a lot of things. All of these games share some of the same principle, but all have different instances. Like, you can't play King of Fighters with a Street Fighter mindset, vice versa. It just does not work. So the best thing to do is to understand your game, how the neutral game works, how footsie should be played, how everything should be spaced, what can cancel into what, and what things can be done in this game to get the maximum output. Now the next step, this is one of the most important steps in the game, and even in a casual environment, going to competitive. What is cheap and what is fair? Now a lot of casuals will tell you that grabbing is cheap. Shooting more than a few fireballs or a set amount of fireballs is cheap. Spamming a move, quote unquote spamming a move, is cheap. But let me tell you something. Nothing is cheap unless the competitive community has banned it. There is no cheap strategy, there is no cheap tactic. The developers did not make any oversights or any errors. There are some errors like the combo system in some games or something like that, but those are to be used to your advantage since everyone benefits and there's a counter to anything. There is no such thing in a fighting game as a cheap move, a cheap strategy, a cheap way to win. Oh, a cheap tactic. Use this, use that. Oh, you're blocking too much, you're grabbing too much. There is none of that. All the game sees is win or lose. You do not get an award in a tournament or any fighting game for just doing nothing but playing with quote-unquote skill. There is no skill in not using anything to your advantage. In order to win, you must use everything to your advantage. Don't leave one stone unturned just because your friend tells you not to pick it up. Pick up that stone, learn, and be the best you can be. Because if someone complains that something is cheap or something is overpowered or anything, simply tell them that there is a counter to that move. Sometimes there really is no counter, even to the competitive community, in which that move will be banned. However, anything more than that is fictitious and should not be listened to. You are out here to win and compete. You are not out here to impress a crowd. You are not out here to claim that you have quote-unquote skill. The only skill that people see is winning or losing. Moving on, one of the most important things to do in a fighting game is making reads. Now, a fighting game is not mash buttons or mash the strongest button until you win. In order to be the best, you have to think like the best. Fighting games is not just I can throw out a whole bunch of moves and it will just work. Fighting games is, what am I going to do? Is this a true block string? Okay, I attacked him this much, it was a true combo. What is this going to be his retort? It's kind of like chess. You have to think, what is he going to do next? How am I going to counter that? What am I going to do in this position? He jumped. What are my anti-air moves? How am I going to get this guy? That's what you always want to be thinking about in a fight. Now, Yomi making reads is when you find your opponent's pattern and you see them doing the same thing and you're like, you know what? I think I'm confident with this. And then you take your chance and you defeat the opponent with what you think you can use to counter it. Such as if they're jumping so much and we're playing Street Fighter, I play as Ryu. Every single time you do a short or do 2 hits, I notice you jump. Now that I got a good read on that, the next time you jump, I'm gonna anti-air you on reaction by waiting for my hands to hit you. And that is the art of making read. And finally, one of the most important things into getting the mindset of being a winner is losing. Now, I'm not telling you to lose, but you can't get anywhere from not losing. You have to lose. You cannot avoid losing. It doesn't mean losing intentionally. It doesn't mean throwing a match. But if you lose, there is no shame in losing. It does not mean you suck. There is no you suck in fighting games. There is no you're trash in fighting games. It's there was either an error in your play, you didn't understand the matchup, or some things went wrong, you let your emotions get the better of you, or you just weren't confident enough. There are a lot of things that can factor in a loss, but the thing about losing, you can lose over and over and over and over, but when you finally find out what was wrong, what exactly is wrong with you, like what went wrong in your play and what you can gather from the loss, well, then you come back a better player. You can lose 100 times in a row, but it only takes one time to realize what you're doing wrong, to turn those 100 losses into maybe even 150 wins.
And that'll be it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, give this channel a like, and I'll produce more content like this on a daily basis.